Do more by doing less. With me, Charles Alexander, for small business owners, startups, and busy folks.
Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Clark, it's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
How many times a week does this happen to you? You wake up and you feel like you're back in grade school and you forgot to study for the spelling test. I mean, you know how to spell most of the words, but not all of them. And if I don't know how to spell all of them, then I'll probably fail. And then if I fail, then I won't get to go to recess. And I'll go to get to recess. Look, this is a normal thing that happens to most adults, not the spelling part, but the I wake up with a twinge of anxiety part. I woke up a little early before the alarm went off and my mind is racing 1,000 miles an hour and I don't want to talk about it. Right now, we're going to do that. We're going to talk about it. We're going to chat about, first of all, why this happens. We're going to talk about what other people do to kind of get over that. And when I say other people do, real people like you and me that's got whatever, spouse, kid, they're an entrepreneur, they're active in their community. I'm not telling you about what the disruptors do. I'm kind of over the cold plunges. And I'll give you several ways to kind of fix. You really just need to pick a couple of methods. I'm going to throw a few at you. And then we're going to talk about the good things that happen if you do. Look, let's hit some main points real quick. A lot of us wake up with this, I don't know, anxiety. I don't want to call it anything worse than that. We don't like talking about it. We're too embarrassed. What causes it? We're worried about nonsensical things in most cases. The real things, your business. We're worried about a client that hasn't called us back. We're worried about a lead that we can't close. We're worried about an employee that doesn't seem to get it. We're worried about a proposal we haven't sent out. We're all kinds of nonsense. And then we worry about or wake up thinking about something like a difficult conversation you got to have with one of your children, or just not feeling great from whatever you consumed too late the night before. And then heard a friend recently call that hangxiety. That may be from too many drinks. And not to mention, we also hang on to stress that other people give us, which drives me crazy. We have a golden doodle named Dolly. One of her favorite things to do is to find a dead mole out in the yard, bring it in, drop it right in front of us, and just leave it there like it's a Christmas present. She just wags her tail. You can't see me wagging. I'm wagging my tail. And she's so proud of herself. And I'm very confident she doesn't like kill it. She just finds it. She's like, I think mom and dad would like this. I'm going to take this in there and just drop it right in front of their face and see what they do. Look, she's a dog. Worse yet, a golden doodle, a dog that really didn't even exist until a couple of decades ago. I have family members that do this to me, like close family members. Instead of it being a dead mole, they'll have their own worries, their own anxiety, their own concerns about, good God, whatever, freaking gas prices, what's going on in the Middle East, worry about things about my kids that they worry about that I don't even know about. And they'll take it and they'll ball it all up and they'll bring it over when they come visit and they'll just drop it right in front of me. And I even think they wag their tail. Look, here's a big ball of worry. And their ball of worry will be things like, well, I'm not so sure they should be in that many activities, your kids. Well, I'm not so sure you should take on any more in that business. You're already not home enough. Well, I'm not so sure XYZ. Thanks. That's part of the reason we wake up with a morning monster hanging over our head. And look, there's also a cortisol hit. That's scientific stuff. I'm not the guy for that, but there's a cortisol stress hormone hit first thing in the morning. What we're going to talk about right now is just some examples of what other people have done to kind of get over that fact. For example, I had an agency client of mine that was in the process of selling his business. And every morning he would wake up stressed because he's trying to go into retirement. And every day it was kind of a little bit of a worry. Are his clients going to stay with the new buyer? Because if they don't, maybe he'll lose some of the revenue that way. Will the new buyer take care of everyone? Will he know what to do when he gets into retirement? Just every morning, just wake up stressed out. In order to fix his stress, he would do the same thing a lot of us do. When I say self-medicate in this way, not real medication, but you know what I mean. He'd wake up, check his phone, immediately turn the TV on, grab a cup of coffee and hit the laptop. That way you don't have to think, feel, or acknowledge any of the morning monster hangover that's kind of there staring at you. And he did this time and again, and it would give him immediate relief, right? Because you're not worrying about it, you're not thinking about it. But the next day, it was there again. It's kind of like when your kids are afraid to go to sleep in the dark. It's there again. How do you fix it? So in this case, the way we worked on it was to say, hey, look, we're going to try a little 1 week experiment. Instead of just self-medicating with the morning news or with whatever nonsense is on your phone, as soon as you wake up, and I'm not one that says you have to punch fear in the face. You just acknowledge it very quickly. All right, this is the thing that's bothering me. Instead of sitting here thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and get up. Don't just lay there. Go ahead and get up. And in this case, he started reading Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. Great little book, by the way. If you get nothing else out of this, read that book. And he still have his morning cup of coffee and then have like a little journal. Take a little note or two out of it. And just rest and think and be peaceful for the wife got up, the dogs got up, everything else. Did that for 1 week. Came back the following week, a brand new person. Now, I'm not saying that was a one-size-fit-all approach, but that was something new. And so when he would wake up the following morning, he didn't suddenly all have that morning monster hangover. I had a friend of mine who every morning would also hop on his phone first thing in the morning. This is a common thing, by the way. And he's recently decided to make the switch to an old school alarm clock. You know what I mean by an old school alarm clock? The one that blinks 12 nonstop because you don't know how to program it? That one. Would put his phone in the nightstand. And I know people, well, I put mine in another room, and then we get anxiety about what if the kids need it? Whatever. He put it in the nightstand. That way, when the alarm went off, he wouldn't already have the quote unquote alarm clock in his hand and see all the notifications. By the way, he turned his notifications off. That's one way he dealt with his morning monster, and his morning routine suddenly looked a whole lot better. For me, for years, my alarm was on my phone, and my alarm, I mean, it was loud. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Would drive my wife crazy because I would wake up before her, and she would say bad words to me first thing in the morning. And that did not help the morning monster. What I had to do was to just turn the alarm off, kept the phone next to me, and just put it on my watch. Now, I don't have an Apple Watch, which that could be a problem. I have a little Fitbit, but whatever. I had a separate alarm. That alarm goes off, and now I don't pick up the alarm clock to speak. I don't see the little red boxes with white numbers telling me something and telling me my lizard brain that something is happening. I have to go find it. So once I did that, then I started adding several other things to my morning that I'll talk about here in just a minute. I'll give you some real actionable tips. What I'll tell you what you don't have to do. You don't have to go full blown Tony Robbins. You don't have to wait. You don't have to join the 5 a.m. club and Google it. 5 a.m. club is a real thing. And I'm not anti 5 a.m. club. I did it for years where I would get up at 5 a.m., read for 45 minutes to an hour, journal, pray, all that stuff. And it was great. But when my kids got older and they started getting up pretty early for school, that didn't work out as well. And that actually caused conflicts. I'll tell you what I did to kind of overcome that. See, when I say you don't need the Tony Robbins model, you don't have to do breath work first thing and a cold plunge and yoga, all good things, but there's a lot of pressure there too that we don't need. What specific steps can you take to kind of defeat that morning monster? I'm going to give you several here. Pick two. Don't try to do all whatever I've got here, 6, 7, 8. That's crazy. Layups. Don't use your phone as an alarm, because part of the morning monster is you roll over, you pick up your alarm, you see all these notifications. By the way, turn your notifications off. And then you start checking everything. And then the worry from the rest of the world that they have dropped off in your lap like Dolly does with the dead mole, or let's say my in-laws might do with a batch of worry. Don't do that. And then also don't turn your TV on first thing. I know a lot of us have a habit of wanting to hear what the local news has to say and what the weather's going to be like, what traffic is. That's a good time to use your phone. Use your phone and see what the weather is going to be like. There's an app for that. If you do have to drive a long distance, there's check Waze. It'll tell you if there's a traffic jam between here and wherever you're going. All right, those two are layups. Those should be just a given. And that morning routine that I was giving you, I still do that with some respect. But now that everybody's up early, I do things a little differently. And here's several I'm going to give you. First and foremost, I learned to journal. And I don't mean I'm creating the next American novel or I have this specific journal when I do it in an exact way. It's a little bit different every morning, but it's essentially the way you empty the junk drawer of your brain. You've got all of these different things going on, get them written out. And once you get them written out, there's some kind of psychological release of whatever that thing is that was holding on to you. You don't have to journal every day. Make it a habit to do it twice a week. And it doesn't have to be as soon as you wake up. For me, as soon as I get up, we're getting kids up, we're making breakfast. As much as I would love to set my morning on the right foot, that's job one. And then I have a gap between when the second one has to be at school. And then that gap is my time to, take 10 minutes, take 15 minutes, and it makes a world of difference. Journal for a minute. For some of us, we need to meditate, pray, visualize, whatever you want to do. But that quiet space you wouldn't get any other time is huge. And I can tell when I haven't done it for a while because my anxiety and frustration pick up. When I get back into the habit, and again, it doesn't have to be a 20-minute session, do 2 minutes. There's plenty of apps for it, but literally just sit there and let your mind be blank. And your mind will wander, and it's okay. But that little bit of rest is like hitting the reset button on your computer. When your computer gets all clogged up because you just shut it down, you just close the laptop. That once in a blue moon when you shut it down and install the updates, kind of the same thing. What else you could make some time for? Reading. Yeah, a book, a real book, not a pamphlet, not a blog, not the internet. And I've had people tell me, well, I just read differently. Yeah, I hear you, but smart people read books. Pick up a book, do a little planning in the morning, pick out the 2 to 3 priorities that you want to accomplish that day. For some of you, working out first thing in the morning is awesome. I love working out first thing in the morning, by the way. And I used to do that quite a bit. Now I make it a mid-morning routine. It's still somewhat in the morning, but that gives me something to look forward to. My morning routine after I, quote unquote, start the day after I've read, prayed, meditated, whatever. I'll work on the biggest project, the most important thing, the stuff I have the energy for, the creative thing that makes everything else work, 90 minutes to 2 hours. And then after that, I get a break. I go work out. That's almost a reward for me at this point. I know not everybody sees it as a reward, but for me it is, and I love it. And then some of you aren't in a position to really do any of this. Some of you may still need to work before the sun rises. And I know that kind of goes against everything else I just said. While I completely buy into the values of your life being faith, family, and friends, and then work, you might have to make some adjustment if you're into a quote unquote different season of life. And I know I almost puked when I said that term. That's our excuse to, what's a season of life? But look, if you're trying to grow your new form of revenue, a new project, a new anything, and it's a short period of time to get it built, man, get up and just crank on that thing first thing in the morning. Don't do it forever. If you're doing this for a full year, that's the wrong way to do it. But if it's like a thing you got to do for a month, 90 days, but then you're done, do it. And you'll reap the rewards later. So look, those are, I think, 9 different ways. I'll go back and look to beat the morning, 8 different ways to beat the morning monster. Turn off the phone alarm, turn off the TV, journal, meditate / pray, read, plan, work out. And then if all else fails, you can do a little work. For the client of mine, him working first thing in the morning was not working out. Him doing the other things worked out quite a bit. If you don't change your morning habits, folks, you're going to get the same results. A frustrating morning that leads to a frustrating day. If you'll change those morning habits, then you'll notice immediate benefits from it. You won't have the exact same twinge or anxiety, although it never really goes away, but you'll also have a way to quickly overcome it and something to look forward to. Here's what you do next. You go to yourcharlesalexander.com. Got several coaching packages there where we talk about stuff like this for you all of the time. Remember, successful entrepreneurs that actually work less, make more, do something like this all the time. And as for myself, sure, I still have a struggle now and then, but that morning monster went from kind of a full-on Frankenstein down to a little fuzzy character from Sesame Street. If you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, advisor, agent, or freelancer, listen up. You'd rather do what you love, spend more time with family, friends, traveling, exercise, sleep, have the time to do what you want instead of putting out fires, fighting never-ending to-do lists, checking email at 9 p.m., then go to yourcharlesalexander.com. I've created the toolkit you need with all the bells and whistles to help you streamline your workflow without sacrificing your income. Just go to yourcharlesalexander.com, scroll to the bottom, Grab the exclusive toolkit and start seeing results right away and take the first step toward a more balanced work life. And as always, if you don't, an angel may actually lose its wings. True story. Have a great day.